and also how to create entities and what are the different properties available, different options, features available while creating an entity. All those we have been discussed. So now we will see how this will look like when we run the application initially without these pages. So today we will discuss on the entity associations. Before that, we will run and see the application, how it is working. So yesterday we have created two entities, category and product, in my first module. And we have generated two overview pages for these two entities to provide some data. But we have not added it to the menu or anywhere. So when we run the application, we will not be able to access the pages that were generated here. So by default, Mendix uses a bootstrap for CSS. So it will look like this with bootstrap CSS. By default, it is having one navigation drawer menu and with one home menu option. Okay. Now, if we need to see the pages generated here, we need to go here into the navigation. In navigation, we need to design the menu. You can create main menu options or you can create a sub menu items to the same. For now, I am creating category and I am giving icon. And here, if you see an on click, so this menu item will be generated like this in runtime. And what this property is saying, when you click on this menu item, what action needs to be taken? It needs to, whether it needs to show a page or whether it needs to call a microflow or nanoflow, or it needs to open a link in the sense web page, some other page, external website. In the same way, create object. You will come to know what is object. Create object is, as I have already told, for entity, if you create one while when we are creating one record, that is called as creating object activity. We will use create object activity. So save changes. Something needs to be saved. Cancel changes. So it needs to cancel the current changes. Close page. So all these different actions are available. So now I am taking show a page. So what page I need to show? That is in my first module under overview pages, category overview page I would like to show. So this was here. Now I am rerunning the application to see my changes in the browser. Once it completes the building the package again, so you no need to launch the application in new tab. It will automatically refreshes. It is still actually completing. If it didn't refresh the page, then you need to manually reload the page. So here, if you want to create some other entries as menu sub items, you can use new sub item and create the sub items, sub menu items. So category overview page, what is our expectation? It needs to list out all the categories that were present in the category entity. And category new edit page is used to add or edit a existing category. So the application, see it is reloading. After reloading, we should see the categories menu option. Okay. By clicking on this, our expectation is it should show the page that we have selected under navigation settings. Okay. So this is the category page. So this page was generated by using the Mendix option that was present by right clicking on an entity, generate overview pages. So when you generate the page by using that feature, you will automatically get these features included: search functionality, new edit functionality, delete functionality. Okay. Now I wanted to add one new category. Next something. So it will be listed out immediately. So I wanted to add another category. So I wanted to change anything. You can double click on or you can select this item and click on edit. You can change the name. If you need to delete, you can select any one of these and click on the delete. And if you want to search, currently, because we are having only name attribute in this entity, it has generated the search functionality with name as search criteria. I wanted to test with some other name. It does not display anything because there is no category name starts with the test. So any questions? No questions. Okay. Okay. Now we will see the other entity properties. Okay, now the different data types that will be supported by Mendix when you are creating entity is are one is auto number, another one is binary, boolean, date and time, decimal, enumeration, hashed string, integer, long, and string. So auto number is self-explanatory. So this is used to generate one automatically incremented number. If you use default value that 1000 here, so each record that will be created will have one increment with the previous value of this attribute. Suppose if it is a, let us take it as a some serial number, suppose the serial number will be incremented by 1 automatically when you are creating a new record. So if the default value is 1, the first record that you will create and in the category under category table will have the serial number 1. So the next record will have 2. Like that it will be incremented. If you use the default value as 1000, the first value will be 1000, then 1001, like that. Okay. For now we will use ID. Once you created, you can move them up or down if you want to have in some certain order. I wanted to show you one more thing. So I am trying to create a ID. The name ID is a reserved word. You cannot create an attribute with the name ID because the ID is a reserved word. So for every entity we are creating, by default it will add one ID column in the database. It will maintain one ID column in the database. That ID value will also be generated by the system itself. So for that reason, you will not be able to create an attribute with name ID. And in the same way, there are other data types. Binary is used to store binary kind of data. Boolean for true false conditions. So suppose I wanted to have one active attribute. So sorry. So by default it is having false because I have chosen false as default value. I wanted to choose default true. So whenever I have created a category, by default it will have the active value as true. So if I turned it off, I wanted to not show this category in the menu option, in the menu, I mean in the application, particular category. Suppose I have created 4 categories in this category table. So I wanted to not to show one of them. So for that record, I will set it as false. Okay. For that kind of settings, we usually use the Boolean attribute, date and time, date and time. I wanted to store when this category was created. So the default value is already available current data. So whenever you are creating, automatically it takes the current date value. You don't need to set this value manually anywhere, programmatically anywhere. Automatically it takes the current date time value. Okay. Decimal, if you need it to use, suppose we will use it for this one. Okay, so we can make use of this decimal in product to decide the price, to define the price of the item. So decimal. So next one is enumeration. So enumeration, where you can define an enumerated value, some set of values, one set. One set may contain 10 values, 3 values, 4 values. Okay, set of values. And you can have any one of them as value for this. In that type of situations, we will use the enumeration. Okay, so I will show you an example how we can use the enumeration later with some value. I am creating an enumeration with category name, cat type, with name as category type. So one is like mobile, home appliances, security to enumeration values. And next, hashed string can be used to store some encrypted passwords, all those things. Integer, so you can make use of this data type whenever you want to store some integer values for that attribute. Long, in the same way, the maximum allowed number is different. String, to store any character based attributes data, you can use this string, and by default it will have a limited to maximum length. You can change it to whatever you like 5, 10, or anything, or 500 or anything. If you are not aware how much it will be having, so you can select the unlimited also. Okay, now I am moving down this active to end, created on to final end. Okay, now we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is auto number. This is name with 200 characters allowed maximum. This is category type of enumeration. So it is act. So in enumeration, you can think of like a drop down. So drop down will have two values. You need to select one of them for this property in that way. Now we will say how the new edit page will look like for with this all these fields. So after creating additional fields, you can add the fields over here by yourself also, or you can generate the warrior page by itself. So I wanted to add a input element here, text box. Okay, here we are having a, this is the input element, text box element. We use it to provide this text box type of input. Okay, so here I am adding the category ID. If you see, it is, we have created more than two attributes for category entity, but we are seeing only two attributes here when you are selecting the attribute for text box. Why? Because it will show which type of attributes are allowed as data source for this widget. Only those will be displayed. So category ID, by default it will take the label caption as category ID. If you want, you can change it manually. There are some other attributes that we will discuss later completely in detail. So like that, you can add the remaining attributes as well. So for now, right now we are discussing on the domain model data entries topic. Now I am generating the page again and showing you. It has generated another set of two overview pages with currently available attributes. If you see the new edit page here, these are the new attributes with the respective widgets available for creating a new category. Now we will see it in the application while running. Now I am changing the categories page to, so previously we have selected this category overview page. Now I am selecting it to category overview 2. Okay, let it run now. Let it run. So under categories, we will have subcategories. If it is required, we will have subcategories. Otherwise, we will have products directly. So each category can have multiple products. Suppose if you take electronics, you can have multiple products under electronics. So, so how can we define that? By dragging, by holding mouse down, mouse left button down on the product and I am dragging it till category. If you see, you are able to see the product category association created here. If you double click on this, you can see the properties of this association. The name, you can change the name if you want. So how it is related? The current selection is, there are three ways of relation. The current selection is one category object is associated with multiple projects. So what are the three possibilities? So when it says category product, it may have multiple products under one category. But in some scenarios, suppose one category should associate with one product only. And in some scenarios, so the same product can be part of multiple categories. Like that, many to many relationship. That is called many to many. Here, if you see, this is one to one relationship. This is one to many relationship. This is many to many. Multiple category objects are associated with multiple products. So currently we have chosen one category object is associated with multiple products. And these are on delete of category object. Suppose if we are deleting the category from the overview page or by using a microflow or anything. So what happens to the associated product object? What needs to happen? Whether it needs to keep in that database or whether it needs to delete the associated project. Suppose there are 10 products under this category, one category, suppose. So when you are deleting particular category, all those 10 products needs to be deleted or not. And this one is if there is no products present under category. Suppose mobiles category, let us take mobiles category. So under mobiles there are no mobile products has been created so far, then only delete the category. So when if there are products created already for mobiles category, if you are trying to delete and this option was selected, it will show a alert message that cannot be deleted. So the delete behavior, what happens to the associated products when you are deleting a particular category, that will be defined here. So when we are deleting, suppose here if it is required to delete all the products when you are deleting the category, we can select this one. So on delete of product page, in reverse, if the product is deleting, shall we need to delete the category as well? That means the parent. Most of the cases we will not delete because it might be associated with some other product also. So delete category object as well. If you want delete the category object as well, you can select this. If you want delete the product object only if it is not associated with category objects. If you have a product that does not have any association with any category, then only delete. These are the different settings available for the associations. So here, remember, these are the main concepts. This is one to one relationship, this is one to many relationship, this is many to many relationship. Now we will see the changes that we have done earlier. So in the overview page was also updated. So this is having category ID as 1. This is name, category type. This is enumeration value. Previously, when we have created the electronics category record, we don't have this column type, this attribute. So it does not know what value it needs to select. If we provide some default value, it would have selected. See this, the active, the default value we have selected as true here. In the properties of active, the default value we have selected is true. So it has applied yes as the value for this active attribute for this electronics and for furniture as well. Okay. So created and it is providing the calendar. You can select the calendar date, any date that time. So for category type, I am selecting mobiles. This is for example purpose. This is does not relevant to this one actually. Okay. So if we are creating new, it will give the category ID 3. And you need to select all this. So when you are creating new, it has taken automatically 11:18 because we have selected current date time as default value. Any questions so far? Any questions? No? Okay. So now, so you may get confused with this cat type. So I am deleting this cat type. When you are deleting an attribute from an entity, so it will be, it will show this warning message if it has been used in any pages or microflows. See, it is used in 3 times. So otherwise in traditional programming languages, if you need to delete that, you need to manually check all the functionalities, all the procedures, whatever you have written. Everywhere you need to check whether it has been used anywhere or not. But in Mendix, it will be easier. It will automatically show you if it has been used anywhere, it will have any impact on the any microflow or pages that has been developed. If I removed it still, it will show error here. See, automatically it will throw error. So it will take you to the correctly where exactly it has been used. You may need to go through each and every page or entity what wherever it has been used or something like that. You simply double click on this error, so it will directly land you on the page or microflow where this error is coming from. So I am deleting this. I'm deleting this. Now everything is sorted. Now I am generating product overview pages to create some products. It has generated product overview page and product new edit page. Okay. If you see the product new edit page, we can see the category drop down. Why? Because we are having association with the category with as one to many. So In new edit page, you need to select for which category you are creating the attribute. So I wanted to add the product overview page to the navigation. I have to select the show a page and I have to select the product overview page. Now, after adding product overview page, I am running the application again to see that inside menu and to add some products. So we will see the other features available for an entity like event handlers, validation rules also. So the event handlers I have given a overview yesterday. What is an event handler? So the event handlers are the microflows that can be triggered, some activity that can be triggered when something has happened on a database record. So if a new record has been added, just now we have seen how to create a category. So whenever you are creating a category, something needs to be done in the backend. So in that case, we can use the event handler. When you are committing, that means when you click on the save, when you click on the save button of the category new edit page, something has to be done in the backend. In that case, you can use the event handlers. When you are deleting the record, when you are deleting the record, if something has to be done in the backend in the database, some validation, something like that, some calculation. So for that purpose, we can use the event handlers, but it will have the impact on the performance. So mostly avoid to create to use the event handlers. So we are seeing here the product. Now I am creating a new product. Suppose I wanted to create under electronics. Okay. TV one. Uh, So this is how the product is related with categories. Okay. So for product, what can be the other attributes? It can have some quantity, quantity in hand, something like or in stock. So it can be an integer. So initially, okay, 0, active, boolean attribute, and what can be the other fields? Price, price MRP I am using as attribute. Okay, so decimal, or if you want to have some description, you want to have more 500 characters, you can take 500. Name, description, here we will have product ID as well, with auto number. Okay, product ID, name, description, quantity, price MRP, active. So now I am generating the value pages again for the product. So to avoid confusion, I am removing the value pages that were not being used. See, if you are not using anywhere, you will not see the find usages button here when you are deleting. The same way for the products. When you delete the product, see, we have used that product value page in the navigation. So now we need to select the new product value page that has been generated under value 4. These are the event handlers just now I have talked about. So in event handler, there are different options available. The moment, event, what. Okay. So if something failed, suppose you can return true or false in the microflow. So you can validate something, and if you output it as false, the microflow output as false, so it will raise an error. If you select this, it will raise an error while doing this activity. So if you see the moment here, before and after, there are two possibilities to have this. So whenever this action is occurring, so after the action has happened or before the action is going to take, this is combination. So before commit, now this means before commit. If you select after commit, So I will show you one example for this event handler. Suppose I am trying to delete one category. I want to just, for demonstrative purpose, I want to show some alert and stop deleting. Before delete, I am creating a microflow here. The naming convention usually we will use for before delete for this event handlers with the moment as capital letter. Before means B if it is after A, and the event the first two letters. For create CR, for commit CO, for delete DE or something like that, for rollback RO. So now I am using before delete. So I am creating the microflow naming convention like this: before delete. What is delete? Category. Before deleting category, so this microflow needs to be executed, and for that microflow, the current category that you are going to delete will be passed as input parameter. Okay. This is microflow where we are getting the category as input parameter, input object. Okay, this is input object. Now currently I am not validating anything. I am simply throwing error, returning false. If you have any events created for any entity, you will see this icon on the entity. It will raise an error. The expectation is it will raise an error when we are deleting it. So do you have any questions? Questions, Bindu, Sunita, Suresh, Anil. Next, we will see the validation rules also. So usually you might have seen some validation when you are signing up. If you have entered some invalid email address, it will show an error message like please enter valid email ID, something like that in any online websites or any applications, mobile applications also. That is called validation, right? So on any entity attribute, we can set validation rules to evaluate whether the entered input data is allowed to store or not. There are different ways of validation in Mendix. So one is entity level. Here also you can define the validation rule. Suppose here I will show you in action first. So the other fields are coming here. Okay. So now I wanted to create a category. I am not providing any name. Okay. I am creating a category. So it is able to save without name. So it does not make sense to have the category in the database that does not have a name, right? So in that scenario, we can use the validation rules. So we should make it mandatory. So here go to validation rule and select as required. There are other rules also there. Okay. For now, we are making it as mandatory to provide the category name. Here the message it needs to show to be either to the user will be please enter category name or name is required simply. Name is required. Usually in the real-time scenarios, in real-time projects, we will rarely use the event handlers. We will handle it in a different way. The validation rules also we will not configure here. We will do the validations mostly in the microflows only. Anyone have you any questions? So now after creating this validation rule, our expectation is the category should not be created without having the name. And if you see when you create any validation rule in entry level, it will display a green tick mark here for that attribute. So that indicates it is having a validation rule. Okay. First, I'm trying to delete. Did you remember that we have created a event handler for delete? Before delete, we are returning the false as microflow output, right? That we have created. On category, we have created a event handler with before delete category microflow. Whenever user is deleting the category, it needs to execute this microflow. In this microflow, we are returning false. So here there is a checkbox, raise an error when the microflow return false. If you uncheck this, it will not raise an error. So it has thrown some error. So you are not able to delete this. So now I am trying to create another category without name. Name is required. Just now we have added one validation rule here over category table name attribute for name attribute, right? So this is how validation rules are applied and event handlers are used. And also there is one more thing, index. This is to index in the database. And one more validation rule that we can use is, I will show you. So I am creating a category, suppose computers. So now I am creating another category, computers. It is able to save. But the expectation is we should not have duplicate, we should not have multiple categories with same name. It will make you confused to map the products. And also it is not correct way to maintain the multiple categories with same name. So for that you can also have the validation rule like this. New validation rule, select name and select unique. Name, the error message should be name already exists. Okay. So now in delete, I am removing the delete event handler for now. Any one of you have any questions? After seeing this, we will close the session. So we covered these topics here in the entities, all the different features available, associations, validation rules, event handlers, and where we can use them in the real-time scenarios as well. So what are the data types available for the attributes, that has been also covered. So we have not covered the generalization. So we will see it later. It is a kind of inheritance. So you might have heard about the inheritance in the OOPS concept. So for that purpose, it can be used. And this is also an important tab that we will use in real-time projects. Here you can write something about this entity. You can give some information to the developers. This is not for the end users purpose. So someone going forward, someone is going to work on this project, your project, and by seeing this documentation, he will understand. So he will have some additional information about this entity, for what purpose you have created, or if there are any particular notes needs to be given on any attribute, that all things can be defined here. Now I am deleting this computer. I have removed the event handler. It is a I am able to I am able to I am able I am able to delete these computers now. Now I am trying to create one more category with the same name to test our validation rule unique computers. I think it was not reloaded. One second. Right. Name validation rule unique. Name is required. Okay. We have not saved. Sorry. Name unique. Name already exists. Now we are adding. Previously we have deleted the event handler and run the application. Now we have added the unique validation rule. Okay. Now it is reloading. I am going to category. I am going to create a new category with the same name. Name already exists. This is how we can use the unique validation rule. Computers too. It is allowed.